Good morning, here's Kramer's Corner with Daily Technical Update. It is Friday the 2nd of August and it's going to be a long one today because a lot of action has happened yesterday and overnight. So let's start with Apple that released earnings in the aftermarket last night. It traded down around 1%, so not that much lower actually. But we can see here yesterday it did this bearish engulfing here, taking out the little bounce there, so expect Apple to push lower in the coming days. There's no strong support until around 206, 207, around these levels here. There's some support. It needs to close above yesterday's peak at 224.5 to resume uptrend. Also, Amazon released earnings, and that was not well received, as we can see here on the chart. First of all, we also had this massive bearish candle here yesterday. It is indicated currently to open at 176.25. That is what it closed after market, after hours trading. So let's see where it will open today. I suspect it may be around that level. We have support at 172.25 and then 165.75. So that looks also a little bit bad for Amazon. In the Asian session, the Nikkei here we have JP225, the CFD/future. So a massive sell-off in early trading or overnight trading here, just above support at 35,464.65, around that level. I think we'll see a little bit of a bounce here. It needs to get back above 37,072 to try to build an uptrend, but it looks really heavy at the moment. Just very quickly, Hang Seng didn't do much on the other hand, so Hang Seng was only down 2%, so it was within this falling channel anyway. In US, S&P 500, it was also sold off heavily. Started day well, but then we had this bearish candle here, testing the 5,409 support, which is this little gap area here. If it does close below 5,375, I think we'll see more selling pressure below 5,300. We have Nasdaq 100 that really got hammered. It peaked just above the 19,472 and touched the 18,768 minor support. Key support 18,654. If it closes below that, we are below the 100 moving average, and there we have confirmed the downtrend that is likely. I think we will see it continuing going into next week towards or below 18,500, but that will be interesting next today and also Monday. In the European session this morning, we are lower here. EUROSTOXX 50, it already got beaten in the late session last night, closed below the 4,775, which was the key support talked about several times. It was tested here about a week ago. It closed yesterday below, and now selling has continued down to support here. We have 4,674. But the stronger one here down just around 4,600. I think we could see a little bit of bounce testing here, but it depends what will happen in US later. Also DAX broke its deadlock, also heavy selling, trading currently around support 17,875. But we have, if we close down around this level and especially a little below here, well, then I think we'll see further selling towards 17,325 level. Well, we have the 200 moving average coming up, giving some support. To just going into neutral, it needs to close this gap from this morning, meaning it needs to close above 18,083, and I don't think it will happen, but let's see. We are below the cloud now again, and it looks quite heavy, and RSI, if it closes below 40, then expect further selling. The AX Amsterdam index It got a little bit of, oh, maybe we can do it, but then got sold off, and yesterday got really hammered, and now currently below 892 key support. If it does close below here, well, then I think over the next few weeks we'll see more selling pressure towards 858, around that level where we have some support, maybe even to 850, but it will have confirmed the downtrend. We are already in negative sentiment, so I think we'll see more selling in coming days. It needs to close back above 900 to go into neutral position, but let's see about that. CAC 40, well, it's touching the 7300 this morning. If it does close below, well, then there is not really much stopping it until, and let's just have a quick look. And this is what you can do, by the way. Draw some trend lines and use these previous corrections, top and bottoms, right around here. So we will have around 7,175 around, and then there's not really much stopping it until 7,200. There's a little bit around 6,950. Then we are talking 6,800 around that area. So it looks really heavy for the CAC 40. Swiss market opened significantly lower. It got a little bit of fresh air, got a little bit of optimism there yesterday, but this morning gapping lower. If it closes below 11,955, then expect further selling to around 11,700. On to the euro dollar. That has bounced a little bit this morning. It almost touched the 61.8 retracement at 107.73. I will consider it being touched. We also have the 40 threshold bouncing off there. I think we could see slowly crawling higher, and what we can do if we add a Fibonacci retracement to it, then we can give some guidelines on where we could go to. We could see it in this area around 108.40 could be first if it can take out that, especially if it can take out the 108.50. Well, then there's potential up back to previous highs, but at least around 109 levels. Euro sterling touched the 85 this morning. If it does close above 85 and RSI closing above 60, well, then there could be more upside potential for euro sterling towards 85.35, 85.50, around that level. There could be some, well, there will be some resistance in that area. If it's rejected, then it will start slowly sliding back lower. But for now, it does look fairly strong. We're building up to a higher high, higher low, higher high. So let's see what it can bring it to. Cable pushed below the 61.8, as we talked about yesterday. There was a risk it would do that. 127.77. Testing the 786 retracement at just above 127. I think we could test it once again, just because now we are actually below the 40 threshold on the RSI. If it does close below 127, well, then we'll see sterling yen dipping down to 126 and a change possibly. Otherwise, we'll see a little bit of a bounce here, but let's see about that. Yen pairs again on got a little bit sold off, but it seems to be in exhaustive mode. Excuse me. We are currently below 149.20. If we do close back above, well, then we could see a correction up to around 151 area, 151.80 maybe. We are quite oversold at the moment. We're extremely oversold. So I think we could see a counteraction. But let's see here. I think keep an eye on where it will close today if it starts moving back above 149.20. Euro yen touching 160.38, bang on, actually, right here this morning. And I also here, I think we'll see it going into next week. We'll see a little bit of a bounce towards 164 level. But we are in a downtrend, and there's no divergence on the RSI, so a correction and then maybe another sell-off lower towards 158 could be seen. Aussie yen trading around the 97, key strong support also here. I think we'll see a bounce maybe later today or early next week towards the 99 level. And sterling yen currently around 190, just below there. Actually fairly strong support that it is below at the moment, but see, we are down to 16, 15, 16 on the RSI, and remember, it can only go to zero and will never go to zero anyway. So extremely oversold, but there's no divergence indicating we could see lower levels after a possible correction towards 192, 192 and a half before we could see another push lower. Support at 187, 86. Keep an eye on that. It is not unlikely we'll dip to that, especially if the sterling is on the move again. Aussie dollar, I think it will, the next couple of days, it will still bounce a little bit higher. 64.70, there's some fairly strong support here. There's no divergence on the RSI, which is showing negative sentiment, so I think we could see lower lows, but I would expect a little bit of correction higher here the next couple of days. Dollar Canada did more or less as predicted. Correction down to the support there, and then a massive move yesterday, and I think over the next couple of days we'll see a push above 139, 139 and a quarter, maybe higher. Let's just have a quick look on the weekly if we can give any guide. Yeah, we are breaking this really strong resistance area. We're actually testing it at the moment, so let's see here if it can end up there at current levels or higher. Well, then there's a further upside potential. The Swiss franc, Euro Swiss went straight through the 94.64 support area. No support until around 93. Even though if I really want to find something, it's really hard. I'm not saying we will go all the way down there. I still think maybe it could try to get back above 94.64, but I'm not so convinced. At least 95 will be really hard not to crack to get back above that level in a correction. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see a push up here and then another sell-off lower. Dollar Swiss trading around the support area just above 87, and see, this is what you can use. Check both the spikes and actually the close. The closing prices are always the most important one, especially on exchange traded products. But I know Forex is not. But still, I found that they are also getting more and more interesting, these closing prices, despite the lack of liquidity towards the end. But it seems like it has some meaning. So support around here. We are in a downtrend. I think we'll see a little bit of correction, then we could see next wave lower, but it really needs to close below 87 for that to play out. The dollar index, not much to report really, still in this bearish trend. We need to get the RSI back below 40 for a further downtrend confirmation. Gold. Crawling slowly higher. We are now above the 786 retracement, and I think we will test previous peak fairly shortly, and I also think we will see higher levels on gold towards 25, 50, 53, around that level, maybe even, but at least 25, 33, which is the 138, 161.8 at 25.65. So it is not unlikely that we could push up there, especially if we can close above a previous peak. If it slides back below 23.30, well, then we are in a wait-and-see position. Silver, on the other hand, had a bad day yesterday, but now it's picking up again. I still think we will challenge the 29.45 resistance, but the key one is at $30. That really needs to be observed. Copper also had a bad day yesterday, but it didn't take out the lows here at 403.25. Still above the 400. Seems like buyers are coming back in here, and if it takes out yesterday's peak at 422.30, and I think we'll see a push towards 428, possibly also even up to 444. Where we have some resistance coming in with the 55 coming down and the 100 flat giving some resistance there, kind of putting a lid on it. The oil market really strong bounce yesterday, and let's just check, and let's do it while I'm at it. See, where did we actually bounce to? We actually bounced to 38.2 retracement and a little bit, and then back down again. We are in a downtrend, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and so on. So let's see if it takes out the lows there at 74.59. Well, then there's further downside pressure, and with the moving averages declining, there is downside pressure. Same picture on Brent crude, of course. We are in a downtrend, could push lower, even though we will get a little bit, maybe a relief move up to around 82.5. I think we'll move lower. Finally, let's have a look at the treasury yields. We have here the US 10-year that has broken below 4%. There's not really any support until around these levels here, which is about around 385, around that level. And I think it will test it here in the coming week or so. The 2-year already touching the 460 support here, the previous lows, could still dip down to 4%, but I think we'll see a little bit of bounce. All right, that's all for today. That's a long one. Have a nice day and have a nice weekend when you get to there, and talk to you again Monday.